we've all been in a situation where we're talking to somebody, likely somebody that we don't know too well, and they're relating a really personal story to us. And it goes deeper and it makes us uncomfortable, and they keep pushing and pushing. And it seems like all they want is an emotional reaction out of us. And it's exhausting. And in those moments, we get angry. We're angry that somebody is forcing us to experience this story the way that they're forcing us to experience it. But we don't really know what's happening or why we feel angry. But really what's happening in that moment is emotional hijacking. If we really had to articulate it, it is somebody manipulating your feelings for their own benefit to get some sort of reaction out of you that would make them feel better. Now, that is an interesting starting point for a discussion we're going to have in this video about tension. And there's a lesson here. People do this in real life, but brands do it as well. And there's a very fine line when you're trying to create tension. Tension can be a great thing for your company, but if you overstep a boundary, it can really break your relationship with the consumer. So let's dig into it and see what tension is all about. A recent example of this kind of tension that crosses the line is the Kendall Jenner Pepsi ad. Now, there are many reasons why that ad shouldn't have been made, but one of the reasons is that it was creating the wrong kind of tension that was kind of snapping our relationship with the brand. What it was really doing was trying to create a reaction for its own benefit. It wasn't creating a larger conversation, really. It wasn't creating anything that benefited both sides. It was a very one-sided interaction that made us feel uncomfortable, made us angry, again, for a number of reasons, not least of which was the fact that it was creating an uncomfortable kind of tension that really a brand should steer away from. There's a right way to create tension, a wrong way to create tension. Let's go over 2 or 3 examples of companies that do it right and how to know if you're doing it right for your own brand. So I'll start by saying that the concept of tension in a brand was really pioneered by Seth Godin. I'm sure many of you are familiar with his work, but Seth Godin really talks about tension a lot. And one of the most important things to keep in mind about what makes good tension happen for a brand is that it has a very strong pushing and pulling mechanic behind it. That means that when you create that tension, you are pushing away non-ideal targets, people who probably wouldn't convert and don't understand your brand values anyways. And at the same time, pulling in people who really should be part of your brand, people who do get it. You are essentially creating lovers and haters. And that's something you want to do. We can't really speak to anybody and have an effective brand. You do want to sort out the people that are in your audience that really shouldn't be there. And you want to speak to your loyalists. A company that does this brilliantly, that I've talked about in the past, is The Ordinary. They're a skincare and makeup line that was very deliberate about the way that they created tension. If you go to their website, you will see something very different than the usual skincare experience. So they don't have bundled products that are like daytime creams or anti-aging or nighttime treatments. They actually sell distilled versions of actual active ingredients at a really affordable price point, but they don't make it easy to figure out what it is that you're looking to buy. The language on the website is very scientific. It's very technical. It's overburdened with wording, and it's kind of hard to filter through. And most of all, it's hard to figure out what you're supposed to actually buy for yourself. The Ordinary has really created a cult following by forcing consumers to learn about beauty. They have created a league of experts. And in order to figure out what regimen is right for you, you have to do a lot of research outside of the brand before you come to the brand website in order to make your purchase. Again, a deliberate decision that creates diehard lovers and haters, but a really good kind of tension that bands people around a larger idea about what beauty is. Another thing that brands with good tension do is that they clarify what really matters for their users. They resolve a struggle. They identify some sort of deeper truth. An old example, but a very important example, is Tim Ferriss and his entire 4-Hour series. So there's the 4-Hour Work Week, there's the 4-Hour Chef, the 4-Hour Body, but really it was never about the subject matter. It was always around this really central truth or idea that you can take a small amount of time, apply it really smartly, and get these outsized returns. That was an aha aha moment, that was a very resonant truth. It clarified the situation for people. That was a very strong kind of tension because you got it or you didn't. And if you did, you really became part of the Tim Ferriss fan club. And that's why that format worked across so many different things. If Tim Ferriss wanted to come out with the 4-hour relationship or the 4-hour parenting book, it would work because that tension is about a very core principle. It reveals a truth that we can apply to a lot of different topics and it will still carry the same weight and the same meaning for us. Another great way to create healthy tension that a lot of strong brands have, although not everybody has, is this mechanic where you compare what is with what could be. So where we are today with where we can be tomorrow as a user. Nancy Duarte, who is a fantastic presentation expert, has done a lot of research in this field. If you haven't checked her out, check her out. She writes about this extensively. And the idea behind comparing what is to what could be is that it creates this kind of undulation in the brand story. And that movement forces people to go deeper and deeper into the story. If you can find a way to show people this is the world today, but this is where you could be tomorrow with our brand, or this is who you can become tomorrow with our brands, you are creating a very compelling narrative that forces people to move. The best kind of tension does not let people stand still. We don't want apathetic consumers. We don't want people to think our brand is nice. We want them to either go deeper or to not come on that journey at all. And that's what comparing what is with what could be actually does for us. That's why it's such a strong mechanic and such a strong vehicle for brands that want to create valuable tension. So tension, really interesting topic. We've only just scratched the surface here, but I would tell you this. If you're a brand that's ready to go to the next level of your strategy, tension really is what you should start exploring. Once you have product market fit and you figure out how to talk to your users and you figure out your identity in the landscape and how to be defensible, tension is the next natural step. And it's important for any brand that wants to be strong and positioned for the future and really develop an audience that grows very healthy and exponentially over time.